I would give you guys like some memories just so you could see how far I would go just to fit in. I remember I was like, everybody used to tell me, oh my gosh, your house. And it would be like these people I didn't even care to have around, but it would be like, oh my gosh, your house is like such a party house. And I use that. I use that to the best of my ability. It is. It is. You say it's a party house. I got you. It's going to become a party house. Worst decision, but it did become a party house. And I just started throwing these parties. And I was like, I was not having fun. I was never having fun. I kept making sure everybody else was entertained. And I was like, if nobody else is entertained, I'm having the worst party. Nobody's having fun. And even then, everybody would still be in a clique. You would think that if you throw a party, majority of people are going to interact. They're all going to have fun together. No, I kid you not. It was like at every section part of my house, everybody was in a little group. You do not see the other two mixing together. And I was just so confused. Like all these people could be here together in the same crowd, yet they use those techniques of the fact that you need to be in a certain category. You need to fit into something. You need to not be alone in order to make sure you're somebody or something or have some type of importance to yourself. And in those parties, I tried to make it feel like I wasn't alone. I would invite so many people. I would reach out to people that I didn't even talk to. People that I went to the old private school with. I would be like, oh, hey, like I'm throwing this party. Mind you, we hadn't talked in like 2 years, 3 years. They weren't ever probably my friends. And I'd be like, oh, hey, I'm throwing this party. Like, here's the invite. And I'd like, just get as many people as I come so I could feel accomplished. So I could feel like I have a huge ego, that I have friends, that I know people, that I'm not lonely. You are never going to see me lonely. I was like, I am always going to be surrounded by somebody, something, some people, so that nobody could ever say that I was lonely or a loser or not worth it. And I just kept using it. I kept grabbing at it. And I remember my aunt, Michelle, said to me, like, Rain, you switch friends every few business days. And it was true. Like, I would just have so many friends. I would have so many friends, so many friends, so many friends. It was like they were coming in for like a test run. They were literally coming in and I was sitting there and I was like, yeah, you're going to be my friend. You're not going to be my friend. You're too weird. You're too cool. Like, bye. And it would be just based on how much I wanted to feel alone in that moment or how much I was like, I can never feel alone. And it was rarely ever that I wanted to feel alone. However, there was one part where I was like, well, I don't want to look like I have too many friends. I want to be like, oh, she's true to herself. I try to fit into that persona too. I was like, oh, let me have my close friends. Meanwhile, they weren't really my close friends either. I just try to keep that group tight, but I can never hold on to certain people. And I was so confused why I couldn't hold on to people. It was kind of hurting to me because growing up at such a young age, seeing my parents divorce, I couldn't hold on to that. I couldn't hold on to being like my brothers. I was a girl and they were very much guys. And from there, I would do anything to feel seen. I would do anything to feel heard, even if it meant me buying a whole bunch of stuff for somebody. I mean, think about it, I had the access to money and I was young and I was dealing with all of these emotions. And I was like, I'm going to buy people's love. If I buy stuff for people, that means they're going to stay. That means that I am buying their love. I am buying their faithfulness to me. It didn't work, but it started so young as to literally me in second grade buying all the supplies for the classroom. Like I would buy every single thing, the cookies, the cakes, the props, the gifts, everything. I would go to the store, spend hundreds of dollars and be like, no, but they need something and they need something and this gift means something to this person. On holidays, that didn't even matter to me. I would just be buying a whole bunch of stuff. Whatever it meant, buy it. We're going to get it right now. Even on days where it was no holiday at all, I would be like, oh my gosh, this reminded me of my friend. Let me get this for them. Let me get that for them. And it would just keep going on and on and on. And it was so draining. And I just didn't feel it at that age because that was just the start of it. Was just me simply buying stuff for people. And then I got older and then it started becoming like, oh, I'm buying bigger like purchases now for people. Let me start buying stuff that maybe matters to me, as far as getting like magnificent gifts for people on their birthday. And sometimes they wouldn't even say happy birthday to me, yet I would still get those people like these most magnificent birthday gifts. And it mattered to me. And I think the only time where it was like really reciprocated is in 6th grade, when I thought like I really found a group of friends. And to this day, like those girls are still so nice, but we just drifted apart, and that's okay. However, I remember they decorated my locker for me, and that was like probably the most loved and seen I had felt, is when they literally fully decorated it for me in the morning, and it was just full of gifts. And I came home, my mom was like, "Where'd you get all these gifts from?" And it was a genuine question, because I would go get everything for everybody, yet they really wouldn't get anything for me. So to feel like I was seen was enough. Yet once it started getting into the point where I was buying love for people, it started becoming, I was forcing myself to be seen. I was forcing myself to be heard. I was forcing other people to look at me. When was the last time you guys realized you were being fake with yourself, though? Because I think a lot of fakeness starts internally, and that's how somebody could become fake. And with friendships, you know, you tend to be fake. And you guys might even been fake to me when I was first friends with you guys, or I was fake to you guys. I know Kiana actually didn't even like me. Because she told me
out immediately.
She told me though. You told me. No, I'm so serious. She did tell me. She was like, "Yeah, I didn't like you." And I was like, "Wait, I don't think I said it." Because you chose to go to a party instead of coming over here.
I remember that. I remember that. It was like a whole thing, and it was such like middle school drama level. Like there was something where me and another friend invited her over, and she like ended up not being able to go because she had plans, and I got upset over that.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I lied about the plan.
I think you said you were
I was sick.
I think so. There was something on both.
So I was sick on that part. So, but then she was like, "Yeah, I didn't like you."
For like a long time after, I like held that close to my heart. Like I did not let that go.
Unfollowed me. Yes, she unfollowed me.
It's like what you said earlier. You know when you like you delete social media and you feel like all high and mighty. That's how I felt at certain time with the block button. I used to use that way too much. So I would like something would get me wrong. Bye. Like bye.
She buyed me. She buyed me hard. And she didn't take no shame in telling me I did not like you. And then we became like this after
that. We resolved it. Like it brought us closer together.
Yes.
Okay,
but at least she wasn't being fake.
Exactly. Like
she was
laid all being fake.
I was being fake. The party wasn't even good. I literally remember texting her like, "I should have came. I'm so sorry." She said, "Block." It's a real fast. But when have you guys seen each other like being fake with yourselves?
Okay, maybe.
Go.
I feel like I've seen like this is, I don't know, it just happens every so often. Like I feel myself like feeling a certain type of way towards someone, like hatred or like I'm upset or they just like annoy me no matter what they're doing. But like when I think about it, it's like, I don't know, I'm like, it's jealousy or it's like insecurities like shining through my actual personality. So like when I'm talking to them, it's just like I'm rude. For no reason. But I don't know. I was just
makes sense though. Because it's like you tend to not want to say stuff. Also, you can't say stuff. Like, I don't think I've ever said to a person, "I'm so jealous of you," and actually meant it. I say it to friends like, "I'm so jealous of you." Girl, you got it all. But like I've never been like, "I'm so jealous of you." Straight face. I absolutely hate you. I'm not gonna sit there and say that to a person. So I feel like you not accidentally because you know you're doing it on the inside, but you say things out of just being rude because you don't know how to feel. Yeah. Especially because we're all human. Like we're always gonna have those thoughts. It just sometimes comes off as you're fake towards a person. But I guess it can't always be fake if you don't surround yourself by that person with that person constantly. Sure. It just depends if you constantly put up that act all the time with that person. But how do you feel, Karen?
I feel like it's also kind of difficult in that because I feel like it's hard to balance. I don't want to be fake, but I don't want to start causing unnecessary drama and like blowing up these big fights when there's really no genuine issue. It's just maybe there's something I'm just like not really rocking with or I'm not really feeling it. But like there's someone like we're acquaintances and I'll be friendly, but like they're not my favorite person and that's okay. Like it happens. Not everyone's not made to be friends with everyone. I feel like it's just the balance between like you don't want to be fake, but you don't want to start blowing stuff up and like being too genuine. Like you don't want to start laying out all your thoughts on the table. Like, I don't like you. Like there doesn't need to be any of that.
She was genuine.
Yeah, it's too genuine. Like, gotta find that balance of like not too fake, not too genuine. Just like good person. Just being
Peace.
Exactly, peace, tranquility, calm.
How do you feel?
I was gonna say, I feel like you know how like middle school is like a weird little time and everyone's trying to figure out their friends. A PWI was not the best for me, and I feel like I was fake with myself because I was trying to be like them. Like I was trying to be like everyone else so I could be like part of the popular group, and I was doing it, but I was literally losing my mind.
That's
and then
heavy.
like I
not
realized,
just losing your mind, you're losing yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you're
100%.
literally losing yourself. And this one might be more relatable to the girls, is the girls that didn't grow up pretty. Not growing up with like pretty privileges or looking like how every other girl looks like in school. I did not look like that. I have lost 60 pounds from what I looked like, but I was like a really chubby kid. I was a really chubby kid. I had a darker skin complexion. I was not what the girls look like in my school. And I went to a private school, keep that in mind too. So it's like a smaller group of girls and they all look the same. And I was like, wow, like I can't even fit in here. Where can I fit in? So I just kept feeding in to the fact that I was Timbaland's daughter. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to have to be this. This is what I'm going to have to be because there's no other way of me being anything else. And then I also remember trying to feed into like the pretty girls where I couldn't even accept who I was. You know, my mom would like braid my hair and stuff and I'd be like, oh no, like I have to wear my hair straight. It has to be pinned straight to the T. Like I need to lose weight, but I would still snack all the time. Can't hide no snacks from me. But I would fight into that privilege to the point where I was becoming really rude. I was noticing it when I was a little bit older, but I was not nice. I was starting to feed into the mean girl crowd. And this is all, again, throughout like fitting into the girl side of things. I went to the mean girl crowd because I was like, well, if I can intimidate people, then people might start to like want to get to know me. Because especially in that age, you're like, I just want to be known. I just want to be popular most of the time. And that's all I wanted to do. And I was honestly probably a bully. And it's not good. It's not a good look for yourself. And you're never usually going to gain something out of it. And then I couldn't fit in there because I would realize that the girls would still make fun of me. Like they would always leave me. I was always the one that was left out. Even as like much as I tried to fit myself in, I was like, wow, I have the same house. My house looks the same as you guys. Well, the cars my parents drive look the same as your cars, like your guys' cars. Well, I have a chef. You guys have a chef. I was like, I could match every single one of your guys' things. The only thing is I just don't look like you guys, but that's fine. Like one day I'll look like you guys. I kept telling myself that. Like one day I'm going to look like them. But that day wasn't then. And then I kind of clicked into that. I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to look like them now. So I started trying to be a tomboy. And that was an interesting phase. I just kept feeding into this characteristic that, well, if I'm not pretty like a girl, then that means I'm a guy. I have to be very rough on the edges. I have to be very bulky. I have to wear baggy clothes. I have to fit into this stereotype of, you know what, let me just be more tough. Let me be like the cool person, the one that all the guys hang around so I can have friends or something. Just be noticeable. And that's what a lot of people seek. You know, you just want to be noticed most of the time. There are some people that find peace in not being noticed and are okay with that. But it sometimes takes time for other people. And I was one of those other people. It took a lot of time for me to be okay with just being myself. And for me, you know, I'm still figuring that out. I'm still figuring out who I am, like I said. I know moms make a lot of sacrifices. That's like a big thing that moms do. What's one sacrifice that you've made, or any sacrifice that you made, even if it's multiple, that you never told maybe me or any of us, that you maybe went to bed thinking, wow, I wish I could tell them like the sacrifice I made, but they just don't know?
That's a really good question. I think one of the biggest sacrifices, but we have actually talked about it, was, you know, making the decision to still try to raise you all in the same community, but in separate households, divorced. That was never something that I, like, especially for a daughter, I never wanted, I knew what it was like to grow up in two separate households, my dad and grandma. And I do think that, especially for teenage years, it was the difference of kind of like how I knew how to interact with boys and relate to them or know how they should treat me. And so I didn't want you and Frankie to grow up in two separate households. So I think the biggest sacrifice was to know that I was gonna have to rebuild a company from scratch in a whole different industry. So that for me, that was important. I didn't want to keep being known as someone's ex-wife. I wanted to start from scratch. And so staying in one of the most expensive cities to keep us all close as a family so that you guys could have like normal family experiences, I think was one of the bigger sacrifices emotionally and financially. It was, I didn't have family here. I wanted to be next to Aunt Chichi. I wanted to be, close to grandma, at least where I had cousins and aunties and family members. And I didn't have that in Miami. And so that was a new experience for me, for sure.
I think the sacrifice I saw you make at a young age that I semi-realized at a young age was you staying in the relationship so that you could see us grow up with two parents. And so that we didn't have to go through a divorce.
So that's interesting that you knew my sacrifice already.
Well, because I see a lot of families
I'm sorry, I'm getting
before.
so emotional.
It's okay.
Not because, we've all healed from this and we've moved on in life, but these conversations are just so important. You don't realize how important they are.
Well, because at a young age, it's weird to see your mom crying and then she says, "Oh no, baby, these are happy tears. I'm happy. No, everything's okay." But deep down, things aren't okay. But I don't know that because I'm young. And I see a lot of parents make sacrifices to stay with their other one just so the kids are happy. Mm-hmm. But sometimes, the happiness leaves the family because the two parents aren't happy anymore. And I think us kids, especially young kids, we tend to lose sight of the fact that our parents are also trying to love each other. But some people fall out of love. Some people just move on. Some people are going through stuff. But we see them as like mom and dad, mm-hmm. and they're together. But we don't see them as, for me, it was, I don't see you as Monique and Timothy. I see you as mom and dad. I don't see the relationship you guys started. I don't see where you guys are at right now. So it was weird. And I remember being really upset when you guys told me you're getting a divorce. But for you, I know it was really hard because I know growing up, you used to tell me, I tried.
I do. I think we both tried in our own ways. I think that we both needed to go love ourselves individually. I think we both started very difficult lives very young. We met in our 20s, think about it. We meet in our 20s, we divorce in our 40s, 45, like that, you barely even understand yourself. And so, yeah, I think that neither one of us understood that.
Me just recently telling you I was going through depression, I was going through it and nobody really realized, but you were like, I realized, but I was like, but you didn't say anything. And you were like, but I felt your presence. I was like, dang, in the back of my mind, I really needed you during that time. Why do you think it's important for fathers and daughters to have that relationship? And do you feel any type of way about me telling you that as of recently?
Oh, of course, when you first told me, it was, just a reflection because, as a parent, you try to make sure you cross off all the boxes. But I realize in life that I'm only human. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things when the person get their pain, when I'm dealing with my pain, maybe I should express something that I'm dealing with, maybe. So therefore I can step forward and be the man that I should have been or could have been. It's like my communication skills, even when it came to y'all, wasn't as brilliant because I had so much other stuff on my mind at that moment. And when you told me that you was, depressed, it was just like, it's always a blow because I always try to be, I mean, it bothered me, everything. It bothered me, but I prayed on it and I just try not to try to open up and be better. You know what I'm saying? I can't go back and change nothing, but all I can do is be better so I don't try to make those mistakes again. And I didn't know you needed me in a way. I thought I was being there for you, you know what I'm saying? But now that I feel like sometimes you even discovering yourself and knowing what you maybe needed from me, or some things that I might have thought I was doing, maybe like, how I was, Rain gotta do this, Rain, you always hear Rain, but maybe I was saying your name, but I wasn't giving Rain the affection that Rain needed. And maybe I thought I was, but I didn't know.
Do you say like a lot of things in your head without speaking them, like more of a thought? Because you always talked about how you think about things, but I feel like you say less than what you actually think, which could be damaging or good. In situations, life is life. Everything's gonna happen the way it needs to happen. However, I feel like there's some things you just keep to yourself and you don't say, even though maybe there would have been an outcome to things you could have said. As simple as you not saying anything to me, there could have been an outcome of you saying something to me. Do you feel like you hold those things more deeply upon you?
I feel like at that stage in my life, yeah, I feel like I maybe rehearsed a lot of things in my head, but never expressed them. But as I look back on it, it definitely was that. I don't think I knew how to express certain things because, you know what I'm saying? I don't think I really know how to express at that moment how I was feeling, So my affection was being around, being there, you know what I'm saying? And you you was 11 and 10, we'd go watch cartoons together. I thought that was like,
I know.
yeah, you'll be like, damn, I'm about to go to bed. Can you come lay with me and I'll lay with you? So I thought, you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking all that and I'm like, Rain, what you doing? You need to go brush your teeth. You need to do this. You need to do this. So I'm thinking that's that, enough, but I didn't know, you know what I'm saying? But I think when I think about those moments, I think maybe I could have sit down and said, hey, how you feeling? But even times I did ask you how you was feeling, you'll be like, I'm cool. So you never really expressed. So it was like a
push and pull kind of situation.
Yeah.
Especially with me too, because I feel like there's certain times where I want to ask you something, but I'm like, nah.
See?
Especially because it's like, you're my dad. So that's what I think. I'm like, oh, you're dad, what do I say to him? Like, especially because if I see you in an emotional state, I don't know how to receive it and how to continue with feeling about it. Because I'm like, okay, well, he feels that way, but how do I approach him in that manner?
Well, I think you've gotten better with it.
Well, that's the thing. It's like you learn to unlearn things. And in life, like you go through so many experiences, you start unlearning maybe bad habits, maybe habits that you just don't want, even if they're good, like you just don't want them. And then you start learning different habits. Like I'm learning how to be more emotionally acceptant to you and how to understanding that you're not just my dad, like you're also your own person. And I said this before so many times that you are still going through life. Like your life didn't stop when I was born. And
True.
So it just became better maybe, but amazing, but,
Yeah.
but it didn't stop. And so it was like just more life and more hardships and more happiness, just so many different levels. And it's a really interesting thing because I guess it just comes from your parents because I've also seen grandma just be so tough. Like she's always so tough and I never seen you really show any emotion. And I felt like I saw so much of that in you because she was always like, oh no, don't talk to me, don't talk to me. Because she was always so much, let me hear other people's emotions, but I'm not gonna tell you how I feel. And I kind of saw that trait in you and I kind of went about it the same. Because I would never go to grandma and be like, oh, are you okay, grandma? Which I could learn because I think everybody should hear that once in a while. Like, are you okay? I kept pushing God off until a moment where my depression hit really bad. And I was like, I just can't do it anymore. And I really do believe that God spoke to me in this moment of like, your life is not over. You have your life. You have choices to make each day. Even though that was not the day that I continued to build my relationship with God, it was the day that I was like, I need to change. I need to change what I do in my life. I need to change the people I surround myself with. And I didn't take action then, but I did listen a little bit more. And for me, you know, that mistake of feeling I shouldn't be here anymore, that felt like a mistake to me. Because I was like, well, God created this beautiful life for me. Why should I feel like I shouldn't be here anymore? Now another mistake. Now I'm pulling even further away from God. Even though I listened, I'm still going to continue pulling and pulling and pulling. And everyone kind of grew up fast too. So I was like, well, I don't really know how to build a relationship with God being a child of God, because I didn't understand what it meant to be a child of God. I just thought that you have to be a child of God by being a child. And I was like, well, I'm growing up too fast. Like, there's no way I could just be a simple sweetie pie child of God. But I was like, well, I don't know what else to do. So I just kept pulling away, and I kept pulling away until I was at the break of it, until I didn't even know what I wanted anymore. And again, going through the guilt cycle, I just constantly felt like the more I sinned, the more I needed to pull myself away from God. But I didn't realize that it was like, you don't go and say to yourself that I need to be healthy before I go see a doctor. Like, if you're sick right in that current moment, you're not going to be like, I need to be healthy and then I could go see a doctor. You're going to go see the doctor when you're sick. And it's the same way. You're going to go see God when you are sinful, when you're at your worst. Exactly when now I just even realized, being at my age, my current age, I just learned that I could start the Bible where I am suffering. You could start where you're suffering, where you need guidance. It doesn't need to be page by page, book by book, rule by rule, wherever you feel like you see it too much. It was really dwelling upon me. And so that's when I kind of got a realization, is that I'm being selfish. I'm pulling myself away from God because I don't want to be that vulnerable. I don't want somebody to see me who I am. Yet I did all those actions. I did all those sins. I was being very vulnerable then to have those sins. But then the second it's like, oh, I need to repent for them, I'm like, oh, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. That wasn't me. That must have been somebody else. So I'm not going to repent for it. It's okay. I didn't do it. And it was really hard for me to realize that God sees all. God sees all your sins. God sees all your glories. Yet he still loves you no matter what. God says, come as you are. God created you. And for me, it was like, I really needed to come as I was in that moment, in that current of time. Something that I wish I understood earlier is that I started viewing God as like this man who was holding up a scoreboard and just tallying up every single sin I created and every single mistake I made. And that's not true. Yes, you sin. Yes, you're going to hold on to it because you probably feel guilty because you probably did sin. Yet he's not going to hold you accountable for every single. He's going to hold you accountable. You need to hold yourself accountable. However, you're not going to be not ever loved again. God has unconditional love. And I could not accept that. I could not accept the fact that he was not up there telling. Like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh, my scoreboard's covered. Scoreboard's completely covered. And I had to realize that that's not God. That's shame. That's guilt. That's you guilt tripping yourself into feeling bad for every single motive you created. That is shame for knowing that you've done something wrong, that you still did it. And you're going to hold yourself accountable for it.